I've signed 4 or 5 clients, and all like my biggest ones as well, like 6.5K retainers. It's like unbelievable.
Would you say that's been, so that creative process and just improving your service has been instrumental in you now being able to increase retainers to like 6K a month?
Yeah, 100%. Like, because I can see the value that we're providing. Because I'm now confident in what we're delivering, of course, our price goes up naturally. Like, before I started this whole mentorship program, I think my biggest retainer was probably like 1,500 euros. And just within like 10 months, we've like tripled this at least. So I've been running the agency for almost 2 years now. Before that, we were still looking for direction. But building up to that, like I was basically a one-man show.
What did you think you were lacking in the business from a systems perspective? And then what did you get that really made the impact?
I was struggling a lot with churn because I was doing everything by myself. I had never written a SOP myself before I even joined this program. I just didn't know where to begin because it was all pretty new for me, starting a business and all that stuff. But the advice that you guys gave me was double down on a personal brand. And basically you guys put out the roadmap there for me and said, like, start posting every day because you've got gold in your hands there. That's what I've been doing, especially since last December. So from December onwards, that's when I started to gain momentum, and that just unlocked like massive growth.
What's up, guys? Jordan here. Welcome. So today we've got a very special interview with Levi from Adfluent, not Affluent, a member of our elite agency group, and it's absolutely smashed it recently. It's gone from 8.5K to over 50K. Is it 52K in just 5 months?
Yeah, at the minute. Yeah.
Incredible. So I want to unpack that with Levi today for the benefit of you guys. This is going to be a big one. So get rid of all your tabs and pay attention and take some notes, because we're talking about some serious growth here. Levi, first of all, can you give the guys a bit of context on how long you've been running the agency and then what brought you up to the point of then joining us at Elite?
Yeah, sure. So I've been running the agency for almost 2 years now. Anniversary coming up in June. And basically since the start of 2024, we actually became like an e-commerce growth agency. Before that, we were still looking for direction, but that was something that was, the closest to my heart, I should say. But building up to that, like I was basically a one-man show, to be honest, doing everything by myself. Of course, also learning a lot of stuff from this, but it's not a sustainable way of growing your business. I was basically like a glorified freelancer, I should say. And I was someone that always was very, I should say, transparent to myself, like whether something is going as it should go. I was struggling a lot with churn because I was doing everything by myself. And then I made the decision because I was finally getting to a place where I had more cash flow, where I felt like I need to invest in coaching, or at least, processes, right? Because that was something that I was lacking. And actually, very funny enough, I came across an advertisement of Jordan, and I'm to be honest never someone that clicks on ads because I've been running them myself all the time, right? But I saw this ad of his, and it was so, like you hit the hammer on the head, they always said, right, or the nail. I'm not sure, but
can you remember the pain point?
Yeah, it was about processes, more like processes. I think you mentioned something there that you were doing a webinar. And so I joined this webinar. I think I paid $9 for it. And it was very valuable. Like everything that was covered there, I was like, man, this is everything that I'm struggling with, right? And based from there on, I joined Elite.
Nice, man. That was the, I remember that. It was the 2-day workshop?
Yeah, I believe it was in the summer, last summer.
Interesting. Might have to throw another one of those.
Man, if I were you, I should. You probably should, yeah.
Cool, that's interesting. Nice, man. Love that. And so talk me through like what you were doing for client acquisition that got you to the point when you first joined us. So like what were you doing initially, and then how has client acquisition now changed?
Yeah, well, I should say like the thing that I wasn't really struggling with was client acquisition, because I was already building a personal brand myself a little. So I got most of my leads through there, but I would say during that period, it was just like, let me just grab anything. And that also heavily impacted churn as well. But the advice that you guys gave me was double down on a personal brand. I think I was still not doing as much as I probably should have done. And basically you guys put out the roadmap there for me and say, like, start posting every day because you've got gold in your hands there. And that's what I've been doing, especially since last December. So from December onwards, that's when I started to gain momentum. I was, very much, I got a feeling for it. Started posting like almost 5 days a week, and that just unlocked like massive growth, like massive.
Nice, man. And we don't have to talk specifically about the system, but I know that you've then plugged in a Pointwise on the back end of the
Yeah.
personal brand as well, which has been responsible for a lot of the conversion.
that Yeah, that was like, the thing is, that is only very recently. I've only done that last month for the first time, but that is I think probably this will be the biggest unlock for me this year. But the capacity is the whole issue, right? Of that, just that one lead gen asset that I've done, I've signed, I believe, like 4 or 5 clients, and all like my biggest ones as well, like 6.5K retainers. It's like unbelievable what comes with that. And people are waiting basically to work with you, right? You just have to give
Yeah,
them the final nudge.
nice. It's massive, man. Love that. The power of AI appointment setting.
Yes, it's crazy.
So when you came in, your problem was your pull was systems. What did you think you were lacking in the business from a systems perspective, and then what did you get that really made the impact?
Yeah, everything. I was lacking everything. Like there was, I think because you're doing it yourself, you understand what's being done. But if someone else comes in, they have no clear understanding. I had never written a SOP myself before I even joined this program. But I am someone that's very structured, right? But I just didn't know where to begin because it was all pretty new for me, starting a business and all that stuff. So I felt that if I could nail that part, and that I could probably grow from there, because I felt like that's probably the most sustainable way of growing a business. And that's also what I was very keen on joining this project. Like this program. That was the most important part for me, I would say. Like I really wanted to make sure, because I'm very quality driven, I want to make sure that my clients get a very good service from us. That I would get all these processes from the program. And of course, everything needs to be tailored to your own agency. But all the stuff that I've gained from this program, like I always tell people, this has been the best choice that I made last year by a mile, especially for my phase of my journey. And I've built so much of that. Like the coaches, especially Lucas and Oli, they've been like incredibly helpful. And that's what I was looking at as well, right? Because they have like, to a certain degree, they offer the same service as me. And that's what I found very helpful, because they understand what's happening within my business, right? Because they've been doing it themselves so long, and that alignment was so helpful.
Yeah, there's no problem that you could face that they haven't faced 10 times over.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know they're doing it at a very high level. That's also something, right? So you're taking the advice, or you're getting the processes from someone that's doing it at a very high standard, and that gives me a lot of confidence about my service as well.
Hmm. What are some of the main things that they've helped you with in the process? I know you've mentioned them to me as well before, that you've had significant help from the guys. So what are some of the big levers that they've pulled for you?
Oh, sorry. What was the final thing you said? The big
What
levers?
are some of the big levers that they've pulled
Yeah.
for you?
Well, I would say, to be honest, probably like the whole creative strategy process, like how you start understanding your audience, how to then, of course, get this into an ad creative script and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, do it at a very high level, because anyone can do it nowadays, right, with AI. But the whole process from iteration until final output, and all the software that comes with it, because trust me, there's a lot of stuff happening in that whole process. And um, yeah, it was basically just, they told me like, here you go, take it from me, make it your own. And that's what I've done, right? Like, because their organization is too big for us to just copy and paste everything. But I'm sure that if anyone from their companies would come into our companies, they would be like, oh, this is familiar.
Nice. Would you say that's been, so that creative process and just improving your service has been instrumental in you now being able to increase retainers to like 6K a month?
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's the thing, right? Because I can see the value that we're providing, and I understand how, like, what's competitive pricing within our industry. And because I'm now confident in what we're delivering, of course, our price goes up naturally. Like, before I started this whole mentorship program, I think my biggest retainer was probably like 1,500 euros. And just within like 10 months, we've like tripled this at least.
Nice. From a place of conviction, it sounds like, more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's the main driver there.
Nice, man. What has your experience been like with the coaching side of things? How have you found like the weekly calls and then also the one-to-one side as well? What has your experience been?
Yeah, like the diversity, I would say, of all coaches has been pretty helpful. What I find crazy, actually, honestly, is that like there are, I believe, 6 or 7 coaches. I've been to like Oli and Lucas like weekly. I've always been there. Yours like like sometimes I've been there, sometimes I wasn't there. But there are still other coaches that I should probably have a talk to as well. Now that my membership is always almost nearing an end. But no, that has
Well, we
been the
hope to
most.
see a renewal on the other side of
Yeah, maybe I think I will. I think I will, but I need to discuss that, of course. But no, it has been increasingly helpful because all these coaches have different kind of expertise, I would say, like and also in different kind of markets, which is very helpful because I'm Dutch based, but you also have agency coaches that are UK based, South Africa based, and I think that understanding of different markets also has been very helpful because they almost challenge each other as well to think about, okay, yeah, we do it this at our agency like this, but another agency might approach it in a different way. And I think
it.
that's what makes it very valuable because if you only have one coach on that node, you maybe all follow the same direction. And I think it's also important to challenge or to think about what they're saying and how you can apply it to yourself then.
Agree, man. Agree. That's the whole reason we put it together like that, is to have those different perspectives. And then vastly is it's almost, unless you're working specifically with a service based problem, like every agency blend into itself. You know, each agency has gone through similar problems. We deal with client acquisition problems, we deal with system problems, we deal with service problems, we deal with team
Yeah.
problems. And it doesn't really matter what you offer and who you offer it to, you've dealt with those problems. And various people are more passionate about other areas of the business. As you know, Ollie is very passionate about operations and systems. He's an absolute wizard. Lucas is more passionate about the creative side, you know, and then you might have someone like Rory, who's really passionate about building great leadership and hiring, for example.
100%. I fully agree.
So you're now at mid-50s,
It
and
could be more though. I'm waiting on clients to like sign the paperwork. Like it could well be 60K already in May. Like honestly.
nice. That's cool, man. And the bottleneck now is hiring. So
Yeah. Yeah.
talk me
Capacity.
through that. What's the bottleneck and what's your plan to solve it?
Yeah, I think the bottleneck, the positions that I'm hiring for, and I would say the quality that I'm looking for, it's pretty high standard. Like I'm paying my media buyer like 8.5K a month. I'm paying
Wow,
my,
that's a lot.
yeah, yeah, I'm paying my creative strategies also between like 5 and 6K. Still my net profit margins are very healthy at bottom line, but I'm not doing any clients myself anymore. That's also a big change from when I started. Like I'm doing one client myself. That's costing me like half an hour, and I feel like I fully transitioned into a founder right now that can focus on growth. But yeah, no, hiring is definitely the challenge here, and hiring in advance. I think I'm still a little almost. Well, I shouldn't say scared because I'm someone that just goes, but because we had struggle with churn last year, I almost feel like things might get to shambles to at some place. But this year we haven't lost any client yet, so I'm just trying to hire in advance, as they say it, and make sure that we can continue growing because acquisition clearly isn't a struggle for us.
Nice, man. That's awesome. I love that. And yeah, you got to make sure you get the right people in. You're paying good to get the right people there. So,
Yeah.
are you building locally in the sense that you're
No.
getting an office, you're getting internationally?
Yeah, I almost have to do it internationally. Like I feel like because we're from the Netherlands, and especially in D2C, I feel like we're lacking behind like the US and UK a little in terms of direct response. So I just try to filter on people that work at agencies that I actually look up to, and we can be competitive with our salary, I would say. So that's what I'm trying to do, but it's a challenge because a lot of people are looking into freelance a little bit more, and it's not that I don't like freelance, to be honest. Like all the people that we work with right now are freelance, but I think if we are transitioning into like more um I don't know how you call it,
A hybrid?
experienced agency, yeah, we need to get those full-timers in maybe at a certain point just to be a bit more stable, and so that's what we're struggling with a little bit. But to be honest, like so far so good. I'm just making sure that we get the whole hiring process in place, and that I take it very seriously, because this is something new again for me, and I just try to dedicate all my time to this right now, and then I can focus on growth again.
Fine. Are you using the hiring process in Elite?
Yeah, I'm trying to work that out right now. I've been using it so far for our editing jobs, for instance. LinkedIn jobs has been very helpful. Like, those things just make it so much easier, because there's actually a strategy that you can follow.
Nice. With your personal brand being such a good lead flow for you, what are the kind of biggest lessons that you've learned over the past maybe 6 months or so in because you were putting out content before, now you're really optimizing that content for conversion. Lots of agencies want to create content for their agency, but then don't really know what to talk about, and you're producing a lot. What would your advice be to someone who wants to start a personal brand in the agency space for their agency for lead flow? Like, what kind of things should you talk about? Do you have a bit of a framework that you've been following? What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. I've been learning a lot about this myself. The most important thing is value first, always. Like, you don't take from people, you only give. And you try to build authority through this, right? So it's important that you know your stuff. I think that's the most important part, because people will look through you if they almost smell anything that you're, like, I don't know, bullshitting them to a certain extent. So I've been always very keen on providing a lot of value first, and every now and then you post a case study, for instance, where you just show some amazing results from clients, and then you'll see that your calendar will be fully booked. But I would say it always starts with the value side.
Nice, nice. And when we talk about value, going a little bit deeper into that, are we talking about, from your perspective, the best things are sharing client results and going through a case study? Are you teaching one small nuance of how to get results? Or what does that materialize
Yeah,
into?
no, it's more just in general, like, strategies, softwares they can use, tools, like all these helpful things that can help people to improve their ad performance, right? Because that's in the end my core offering. But what I've also found, though, is if you want to attract a lot of new people within your funnel, almost, because I treat it like a funnel, to be honest, you also need to find, like, your niche interest. So of course, everything happening within AI right now is big. So I also post a lot about ChatGPT prompts that might be valuable for people that are into advertising. It's not my core offering, but a lot of people do find it very interesting, right? And so then we narrow it down from there, because then my middle of funnel content would be Facebook ads content. Bottom of funnel would be case studies.
Fine, fine. Have you managed to systemize the actual recording of the videos? Because, of course, you're running the business at the same time. And, of course, we dedicate time to growth activities.
Yeah.
But it's a very intimidating task for many people. Do you have a setup at home where you've got the camera there all the time? Like, how are you doing the physical recording of the vids?
Yeah, maybe nice to touch on that as well. So I've been using Content OS always for my Content OS is, of course, the
Nice.
part of the Elite program. I've been using that forever to just ideate all my stuff there. What I always do, if I just see something online and I think, okay, this is interesting, I can make a video out of this and make it my own, I just write it down immediately. I get my phone, I put it in Content OS, works very easily. And in terms of recording, I always do it just through my phone. I've also used the mic, of course. I have a mic at home, but on TikTok, basically, the uglier the video, the better it performs. Usually, it needs to be native to the channel. So I've done high production videos as well. My most watched video is a high production video, I should say. But you can just as easily get as many views by just grabbing your phone and start recording.
Nice. Cool, man. Love it. That's great. And then what's the goal now? Like, you've hit 50K. Have you had a moment to kind of reflect on that growth? Has it made any impact on the personal life, or are you in the trenches? Like, where are we at situationally before we explore the future?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I think that I always have moments, just like unconsciously almost, where I can still very much feel how I was feeling at a certain point. So I remember when I first hit that first 10K, then I thought back to when I was doing my first 3K, where I felt like, whoa, if I'm doing 3K, I'm already so happy with everything that how it's going. But um, I remember just back in December, I was actually pretty disappointed with how things were going. I was trying to make things work with a potential co-founder. There was actually no need for that. But I knew I knew for a fact that because of Agency Elite, my processes and just us as an agency, we improved so much. So I felt almost to myself like, I am sure that things will happen. I just need to go full steam and see how things go there with my personal brand, of course. And now when just this massive growth happened over the past 4 months, honestly, it's insane. I've been thinking about it myself, where I'm like, wow, that went pretty fast. But at the same time, I feel like there's so much more like to it, because the whole acquisition side of things for us is just pretty easy, almost, to say the least, right? So it's always almost very exciting. I find it difficult to take a moment and to reflect, because it also happened in such a short period of time. Maybe I'll do it at the end of the year, but right now I just want to go full steam and continue going. Just see until I get to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe I need to slow it down a little. Until then, I'll just keep going.
Nice. Yeah. You want to just harness the opportunity and
Yeah.
not yet sit in it. Yeah, I hear you. Have you set a specific revenue target by the end of the year?
Yeah, based on how things are going now, like my biggest goal would be 100K in monthly recurring revenue. I think that it's achievable if we can manage the demand. I think that's the biggest constraint we might have. But to be honest, I've always found it difficult to say where I would like to go with my agency. I think also the beauty of it is in staying lean and mean, almost like being this boutique agency, because I've heard the experience of people that are, they become so massive, it almost takes the joy out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that's still not decided upon. I think we just need to go with how things are going and see from there.
I think you can run an agency even between 150 and 200K and still adopt a lean mentality in the business. I think
Yeah.
beyond 200K, shit starts to get quite stressful in the agency model. And then you
Yeah.
have to decide what you want to do at that point. But I think there is like a sweet spot, probably around 150K. Hitting 100K at the end of the year, as long as you can hire properly, then you're going to hit that. There's no doubt about it, which is very cool. Like it's so great to see that growth. Do you think much further outside of the next 6 to 12 months? Do you know what you're working towards broadly? Like what is it that motivates you about even having a successful business in general? Are you wanting to just build the company and stay in and keep building, or are you looking to, have an exit at some point? Like, have you considered the long term?
Yeah, no, to a certain degree, yes. I think what I said earlier, the most important thing for me is the quality, right? So how are we doing as an agency? I think that's also probably the biggest goal for me this year, is like revenue wise. Of course, we have had certain targets, but I would say for me the most important part is that we just crush for clients. Like as soon as I'm like very confident about how good we are, I feel like the rest will come on itself probably. So it's more about the internal side of things, and like longer term though. Um, I've never thought about exiting the agency, as I felt it's quite difficult. But at the same time, I've never really delved into the
Mm-hmm.
possibilities of this, because we don't work with lengthy contracts, all that different stuff. I'm not sure how that goes in venture capital world or anything like that. But
Mm.
for me, I would say where I find the most value with the agency is, of course, the cash flow, the freedom to work from anywhere, and at the same time, I think I want to build maybe a brand myself. To be honest, I think that's where most of my ambitions would be, in terms of scalability and that stuff. So yeah, I think it would coexist next to each other, right? So being in this A player boutique agency, and at the same time also making sure that we can from there on build into other things, because I
Yeah.
think that's very possible with an agency.
It's such a great asset to leverage in future businesses. And I actually think the value of an agency is in keeping it rather than selling it, because the multiple is only 3 to 4x, maybe 5x.
Yeah, exactly.
You have someone like V8 Media, obviously Yandre and Vickers, who are also leaders in Elite. And you only have to look at what they're doing now. Though both of the guys are pretty removed from the agency, but they have V8 Capital, where they take equity in brands that they see the biggest potential
Yeah,
in. And that's
I saw
not
the
just in
podcast.
direct to consumer. That's also, they did that, I don't know if you noticed, in a cleaning business, for example. So like they're doing it with their lead gen clients as well. I think a lot of people, when they watch things like this, are like, oh, that's all well and good, you're an e-com. Like, no, you can do this with any business. And
Yeah,
they're now doing 1.5 million a month in that group, and
yeah,
they own an average of 25% of the businesses that they're doing it with. So give them 10 years of doing that.
Yeah.
And when the group sells for like 50, 100 million, that's
Golden.
leveraging an agency to its max. And
Yeah.
that's where the value is, I believe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that's where I probably want to head into as well, in terms of like I just want to keep it at all costs. I don't plan on selling it probably. Like if a right offer arises, then who knows, but probably not. And also, I think one thing that I really loved about building an agency is I think it's the best business model to start in as a young entrepreneur, because the cost of opportunity is so low. You can just start and learn everything about becoming a better entrepreneur, right? I think that's something that I'm still learning a lot about. You just imagine, like, this is still the first time that we're hiring, right? It's like all this different stuff that you can probably grow a lot as an entrepreneur on itself outside of having an agency, right? And I think it will help me so much in the long run if I want to get into new businesses or anything, that I've just had all this past experience from building an agency.
I see ecom brand owners and crypto millionaires and all these guys starting their second business, and they really have a hard time. I truly believe, maybe I'm biased, if you can run an agency at over 100 grand a month, you can run any business, and it'll be a lot easier than it was running an agency, because a people business is one of the hardest businesses that you can possibly run. You're juggling people on the client side, you're juggling people on the team side, and it's almost the price you pay for it being such an easy business model to get into. It's like, it's easy to get started, but like when you're there, like it's like, you're dealing with the shit. But like anything else seems easy. Sometimes I'm just like, if I just started like I start a bonsai store, like that would just be like the easiest business in the world to run.
Oh, we had a client that sold bonsais, but no, I truly agree. It's there's a lot of you have to deal with all the clients, and internally you have to make sure people stay happy. But it's the stuff that I'm pretty good at myself, though. I like working with people. I find it easy. It comes natural. And what I said, I'm just learning as I go, and I try to improve myself as much as I possibly can. And I'm sure that from trying to be good at what you're doing, I always feel like the most opportunities will come. So that's what I'm very, very happy about. Also, because I joined the lead, because it really has helped me a lot to grow much more in a shorter time. And I just remember when you said it during the webinar, you said you can go out on yourself and take 5 years to learn all this stuff. Or you can just make sure that you have a dedicated group of people that can learn you stuff and help you. And you'll see the results as a result of this, right? And that's exactly what has happened with me. Like all those learnings and all the resources that I've gained from following this course has helped me so much. And like I always said it, like if I didn't join this course, that massive growth over the past 4 months wouldn't have been possible, for sure.
Well, I'm so glad, man. And we're glad to
Yeah,
have you.
really.
I was going to ask you what you would say to someone who was on the fence about joining Elite, but I think that's a wonderful statement to...
Yeah. I've also sent a voice memo to someone who inquired to me, so I'm sure they'll sign.
Love it, man. We'd love to hear it. Are you going to be at the awards evening next weekend?
Yeah, man. I'm hoping to grab an award myself.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Maybe a platinum award on the horizon. Let's see.
I hope. I'll be there. Yeah, I'm going with Ollie also on Saturday. We're going to Chelsea football match, so that's nice as well.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Love that. Yeah, I think he mentioned going out for a lunch or something on Monday, so I think he's arranging that, but we'll see. Well, Levi, great to catch up, man. I think
Definitely.
what's going to happen is probably in Q4, we'll have a conversation about hitting that 100K month. Maybe we'll do another one of these interviews and see where we're at so the people can get an update as well. I know you've got the personal brand going. Would you like people to go check that out, or do you want to stay relatively private on what you're doing? And if you have got a channel that people can see you on, then what is it, basically?
They can always watch me. Like I provide some good value there. I try to imitate Jordan a little, so.
Yeah, Adfluent is the down there.
Yeah, don't look up the agency. They can check the personal brand.
Cool, love it. Levi, all the best, man. We'll speak soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Speak soon.
Cool, that was perfect.
Yeah, I thought so, right?